Good afternoon, everyone. I can see that we've got a couple of ladies that are already in with us. We're just waiting on our Deputy Minister, Pinky Kekana, to come in, and we are scheduled to go live at 12 o'clock, or should I say to start recording at 12 o'clock. So if you'll just bear with me, and we'll get started as soon as she's with us.
Hi, Charlotte. I'm with all of you, and good afternoon, ladies.
Great. Are you with us, Pinky? Wonderful to have you with us. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Right. So I'm going to then, I am recording this, Pinky, just so that you know. I'll obviously share the recording with you as well. But I just know that there are so many ladies or so many people that would love to be online with us now. But, you know, as time is precious for some, they're not always available to be with us. But what an exciting journey we've been on, Pinky, since I met you in March this year. It feels like it was just the other day, and look what's happened in the interim. I mean, could we ever have expected this, Pinky?
No, absolutely, you're right, man. Many things happened in a short space of time.
Yes.
Little did we know that we'll be confronted by COVID, and little did we know that the way of doing business or work or schooling will be changing the way we're doing now. So yeah, it's one of those experiences.
It's been quite a roller coaster ride. So if I can officially then welcome you all to our live broadcast with Pinky Kekana. She's our Deputy Minister of Communications and Telecommunications, and she has a very busy schedule. So to have her online with us is an absolute privilege. And I just want to thank you all for joining in and supporting this incredible project, an incredible journey that I've been on over the past few months with the creation of this beautiful product, which is our first book, which is published and available to be bought on Amazon Kindle. And who I'm so honored to have featured in the book is our Deputy Minister, Pinky Kekana. So Pinky, first and foremost, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. Thank you so much for availing us of your time. Oh, and you look so beautiful. You look lovely. Now that I see, now that I don't have the picture on the screen now, you look so lovely. You look so different every time I see you. You have a tendency to change your look. But Pinky, this is exciting to have you with us. And you know, obviously, this is an interview, my first official interview with you, and I bet everyone is excited to get to know you better. So, who is the woman behind the name? I mean, you're playing a very important role in government, but who is Pinky? And I think, you know, at the end of the day, this is what we're here to find out is what has led you to where you are today, Pinky? So the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you, Charlotte, and thanks to all the ladies who are part of us online, and happy Women's Month. I know we celebrate Women's Day every day, 365 days. Like you said, Charlotte, I'm Pinky Kekana, born and bred in Bilabila, a klein dorpie. We call it a very small town in the Waterberg. I'm a teacher by profession, and I've been leading also in the trade unions, which we call South African Democratic Teachers Union. I've been an activist as well. Even before I became a teacher, I mean, I went to University of the North then, which is now called University of Limpopo. And I've been active as a student through SCM, through SANSCO in those days, through Choral Society, the Lutheran Christian Fellowship as well. So I've been on a number of youth activities even at that time. And when I came to teach, I came back to Bela High School and then taught in my own surrounding. And through that, as I was leading in the ANC, leading in the South African Communist Party, also leading in the trade union movement, the ANC used to give me responsibilities at branch level, at regional level, at provincial level, and that's why at some point I was in the legislature in 1999, and then came back to become the mayor of the Waterberg district, and then went back again, given the responsibility by the ANC to be in the provincial legislature again, and became MEC of roads and later MEC of economic development, environment and tourism, until 2014 when I went to Cape Town and the ANC felt this time around we're sending you to National Parliament. And then I was responsible for the Finance Committee together with the team who were led by Yunus Karim. I worked with quite a number of good men and women, and I learned a lot in Cape Town. And then when President Cyril Ramaphosa came in, I became the Deputy Minister of Communications under former Minister Nomvula Mkonyani, and then currently I'm the Deputy Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies under Minister Stella Ndabeni-Abraham. So from government level, those are the responsibilities, but I still have my role as an ANC leader because I'm in the national executive of the ANC, but I'm also in the national executive of the ANC Women's League. So there are those responsibilities that I also have, supporting provinces where I'm deployed and making sure that we strengthen the structures of the ANC.
Do you have any time to sit back and relax? Because just listening to you, I feel quite exhausted, Pinky, but you clearly have the capacity, because you clearly like a Duracell bunny, because you're hopping from one thing to the next. How on earth did you manage to have time to even think about participating in this book project? And why did you make the decision that you'd like to participate? I know that I phoned you, I think it was on a Saturday morning, and I still said, Pinky, would you be able to? And you know, you didn't hesitate, and yet you've got such an enormous responsibility.
You know, it's nice, Charlotte, if as women, we find time for ourselves, share stories. I saw what your book title says, Untold Stories. What does it say?
Forgotten Woman, the South African story.
Forgotten women. And I'm saying, you know, we need to have time to tell our stories. And women's stories are so many that we can share. I mean, who could have known that a person like me has gone through a gender-based violence experience? And we have overcome that. For as long as I have a Charlotte, a Rita Govenda, Isabel Kadir, and everybody, and I have an opportunity to share my experience in all these things. In a way, I heal. In a way, you guys strengthen me, and you make me to close this chapter and open another chapter. So it's important that amongst ourselves, we share stories and we are able to strengthen each other going forward.
Well, thank you for being so gracious to have accepted this invitation. And, you know, it's a huge honor for me because, you know, I think like you, Pinky, one is on a journey and you never know where this is going to take you. And, you know, one can be as prepared as possible, but you never know what actually lies ahead. Now, you know, I would ask the question, but I think we are in such a state of chaos at the moment that I almost want to center a little bit of our interview around the current chaos. So what is the current scenario for Pinky within all of this chaos? Where do you find yourself at the moment?
Which chaos? So that
Oh, so you've got more than one chaos. Okay, well let me be more direct then. The
yeah.
pandemic, the South African scenario around the pandemic, and obviously that is what the book is all about. It's about us having a fundraising project where we're able to help women who have been affected by the COVID pandemic lockdown specifically. These are women that have lost jobs. These are women that their businesses are failing. The support that we want to give these women through this project. How do you see this project helping these women, and what do you think? What more can we do to help women within this period of time that are affected by COVID-19 and the lockdown and loss of businesses and loss of jobs?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you are right. We are confronted by a big challenge of COVID, and there's a new normal. That's how people put it. But also, the hardest hit, even when we started, were women. And I'll tell you why. Remember, when the lockdown started, and thanks to the president for acting very swiftly, even before we could become the hardest hit through the pandemic itself, that the timing was right and all these things. But little did we know that there'll be unintended consequences. Things where those who are selling informally in the streets, majority of whom are women, those who are selling food in the street, vegetables and all other things, owners of spaza shops, and some little corner shops, they had to be closed. And that's where this informal trading became the hardest hit, and women could no longer put food on the table. Remember, Charlotte, in our culture, most of us, I mean, myself included, I went to university because my grandmother was able to sell African beer, sell this and that, sell fruits, sell all these things. And that money was able to pull us through and make sure that we're able to make ends meet and then become who we are. And many other untold stories of professionals. They will tell you, those who come from the rural area, how informal businesses were able to take them through. Today, you see households owned by women, brick and mortar and everything well built in the rural areas of Limpopo. And it is precisely because of the buying and selling of those goods and services. So now we have to see how we are able to look at this crisis and make it an opportunity. I have met some guys in the agricultural sector, because you can't go wrong with food security. Every day when we wake up, we want food on the table. And they're coming up with good projects for 25 households in one vicinity to say, put together these cages where you have egg-laying chicks, and then you have your cash crops, and then you aggregate all of them and you are able to supply a local, whether it's a clinic or it's a hospital or whatever, but the way they have put it together, I must just share with you so that we look at that as a project going forward to say, how do we assist our women? And I think just to put all those cages together and everything and the startup, it's around 44,000 per household. But you need to have at least 25 households that relate to each other. And part of it is to say, you know, I also did private teaching in Farwater, and I stayed with a white family there. One of the young boys who also made me to come closer to agriculture was that he was always saying, look, every time when my father goes to the farm, I'm at the back of the bakkie, I'm drinking my bottled milk and so on. And I'm getting used to that routine every day and every day. So by the time I'm 12, 14, 16, already I understand and mastered the art of agriculture in the routine. So this other guy, white guy that I met 2 days ago in Bilabila was saying, once we start to do these things in households, the little ones will also start to develop interest in agriculture. Because until we make sure that people have passion for some of these things, there's no way we can go. So we need to bring in this new element to young people to say, you can't go wrong with food security, and every little, we can feed the nation and we can feed the whole world as South Africa and Africa. So it's a project I want me and you to join hands with, and the ladies who are part of us. Let's go and look at that thing and see if we can't assist women to do backyard agriculture.
Yes, I think that's so true. You talk about food security because the basic fundamentals of of the human is nourishment. So if we can afford to be able to help, as you say, households to start developing that skill within the agricultural sector. And in fact, we've got online with us today, we've got Megan Angus. Now, Megan won the Woman in Agriculture in March when we had our awards. And, she's actually grown up in that culture that you are referring to now, where she, from a young child, knew exactly what was agriculture all about because she lived it, she breathed it, and she decided to remain on the farm with her parents to do that. So writing that story in the book meant that you were telling us something very private and very personal. So would you like to share just a little bit of what is the story line that you decided was relevant within the context of this book? Can you perhaps just give us a little bit of an insight and obviously whet the appetites of people who are wanting to buy the book, not knowing exactly what to expect? Could you give them a little bit of insight to that?
Look, yeah, it has not been an easy decision for one to arrive at. Especially because people think because you guys are leaders, you don't go through this kind of things. We expect women who can't provide for themselves, who can do all these things, are the ones who are vulnerable. But we wanted to show them that, look, all of us in one way or the other go through some of these things. And it's so unfortunate that some of us, our upbringing was very different. I mean, I had a mother and a father, and I never grew very close to them, but there's no moment that we cannot forget with our parents. Because one of the fundamental issues in the family is that we are a singing family. So every time we meet, it's our mother and all of us, and we do do re mi fa sol la ti do. You see the notes issues because she was a conductor at at church and all these things. So we'll be this singing family and all those kind of things. Now you get into relationships, you get confronted by some of those things. And once it happens once, you must just call it quits, because if you don't, it will get to other stages, and the next thing they are putting roses on your grave. So I wanted to share with women to say, look, in as much as you have gone through this thing, the sky will always remain the limit. You have to really close that chapter. And closing it does not mean don't share. If they're eager to share your experiences with others in a way of strengthening them and saying, despite having gone this route, you can still open a new chapter and become a better Pinky and use that experience to be better. You know, my grandmother will always say, because I was always on leadership position, and you know, in leadership position, there'll be fights and all these things. And she will say, if they throw stones on you, use those stones, don't take them away and so on. Put them on the ground and make those stones a foundation that will be very, very firm. So having learned the hard way, you know, even when you get into a relationship, you have choices to make immediately. Do I go on with this kind of relationship? Is it taking me back to my past experience or what? And then I have a way of just finalizing on an issue and say, I'd rather be alone than be unhappy. There's a song. It's an R&B song. I like those lyrics, that rather be alone than be unhappy. But I know I won't be alone. I'll be with Charlotte. I'll be with Christopher. I'll be with all these other ladies and share the things. Yeah.
Yes, I don't think you'll ever be alone. Most definitely not, because you've certainly surrounded yourself with many people, and you're a great inspiration. And I can imagine how many people look up at you. That is in itself something. If you think of it, you know, you get to a point in your life, Pinky, as you have done, where so many people do look up at you for who you have become. But if I were to ask you the question, if you could be anyone else in the world for that matter, who would that be and why? If you for a moment could change places with someone in the past or currently, who would that be and why? Just a fun side of you.
Let me tell you one of my, and people like laughing at me. I went to become a teacher because I had no choice. And because at least the church, the Lutheran church that I belong to, used to assist most of us needy families and so on. My wish at all times was to become a nurse. You know that old nurse with
Yes.
with this thing here and a cape and everything. And as I see the frontliners now on COVID, I always say, yo, if I was a nurse, I would be doing all these things, saving life and making our people survive and move out of this COVID-19. So it has been my wish throughout. My second wish was social work. I like sharing, I like taking care, I like, holding hands with needy people, because I come from that background. I know what it takes and so on. So the the element of sharing and caring, the element of charity is in me. So the kind of work that you are doing, Charlotte, is the kind of work that inspires me every day. So even now, as I start to look at how households can survive the hunger, the poverty that is confronting us now. That's why I'm looking at some of these things to say, going forward, this is charity work that I'm going to do, including taking care of the boy child. So, because I feel that over and above vulnerable families, we also have to bring in the boy child at the center of our discussion and make them to see life differently and become a different breed of young men who will take care of their families going forward. Because my belief is that if we can start to do that, me and you, Charlotte, and teach them, I mean, we're not saying to this young man, any girlfriend that you get, that you make pregnant and things don't go well, you are forced to marry. No, we're not saying that. There'll always be kids without the father figure in the house. But as long as that father remotely takes care of the child, no child must go through a maintenance court. No woman should go through a maintenance court. Once you know, even if things did not go well, me and this woman have a child together. Let me take care and do my responsibilities. So those are the kinds of work that I would want us to look at, because I mean, I'm raising 2 children. I'm a single parent. Maintenance has always been a challenge, but I don't want other women to go through what some of us went through. So, and we can only change that if we can say to young boys, even if you're not going to marry this woman, but you have a child with her, make that child to get better education. That's it.
Yeah. So it's just basically teaching them to take accountability and to take responsibility, because it's so easy to say, I can just leave, because that's unfortunately what happens in most instances. The child stays with the mother just by the mere fact that the mother is the nurturer. So you wanted to be a nurse. So you clearly have a natural nurturing and caring, and that spirit. That spirit is within you, and it's so obvious. It's so obvious. Well, so what does Pinky do in her spare time? I'm sure you must have a hobby, you must have an interest, you've got something. Do you watch sport? Do you play sport? Do you love knitting? Do you love dancing, music? What is your pastime? What do you do?
You must make me to join the knitting group, because going forward, I must be like, people from Taste Neighborhoods. You sit there and you do all these things. So I want to do that. But just a quick one. Walk is something that I like most. I have not been doing it quite consistently, but I'm now going back into it.
Good.
I'm learning to play golf as well. Oh. And I was upbeat, and then COVID came, and now square one, but I'll be reviving that. I met somebody, like I told you, I'm from a singing family. I like to learn piano. I know where the notes are and so on, but I must always do this and so on. So I want to play in the church and do all this. But my biggest and strongest character is cooking.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. A house that does not have warm food, it's very cold. So uh, maybe it's because my mom was a domestic worker and my grandma has been a housewife through and through. His husband was a supervisor, a school inspector in those days. So yeah, so cooking, and I do it myself. So
Good for you.
I love, yeah, I love cooking very much. Music, it's in the family. Well, sports, it's soccer because my eldest boy plays for a professional soccer league, Super Sport United. They've just
Wow.
started to go back now. So yeah, soccer has been part of me through and through. And just to share a small joke with you, when he was still, and I was very new in the legislature, so they took me to the UK, and then I see Man United clothes, so I buy that paraphernalia of Man United, and I arrive home, and I think he was about 6, 7, and I say, "Tara, here's your," and he says, "No, thank you, Mama, I'm Arsenal." So he did not wear, he did not wear the Man United clothes. And that's when I then started to come closer to all his programs and everything. Because, being a single mother, you have to do the right support systems and all other things. Yeah, I learned the hard way, but it was.
Well, I can promise you that myself, I have 3 daughters, and all 3 daughters were sports girls. And I used to stand along the side of the netball fields, and I
Yeah.
used to run up and down and scream and shout. So is that where you find yourself very often, is standing on the side of the field and
So
running up and down and shouting and cheering on?
then once they kick you and I'm there in the um, on the suits there at the stadium, I start touching my, as if you're feeling the pain on your stomach. I start
Oh,
touching.
shame.
And then I look on the side and I say, "Is he up? Is he up, guys? Is he on a stretcher? What's
Oh,
happening?"
shame. The worried parent, eh? Oh, shame. No. Well, it's been so lovely talking to you, Pinking, and getting to know a little bit more about the woman at home and the mother and the nurturer and I guess at the end of the day, as you know, it being Women's Month, we're here to celebrate women. So who in your mind, if we were looking back and we're looking at the history of women, who would you say is the one woman that has, besides your mother and your grandmother, and so who would you say is the one woman that you see as the iconic woman in the South African history?
Well, what Mayor Winnie Mandela went through, it's something that has touched most of us. She never had chance to have a good life with the husband because, of the torture and all other things. Her kids, what the kids have also gone through, very touchy. But she always put her country first. She always made sure that women come first. And she always made sure that in her lifetime, we will realize freedom. Of course, she was not working alone. There are those women who came before her, your Charlotte Maxeke and them. But we've got fond and vivid memories of Mom Winnie. And I think her memory still resonate with us, and her sacrifice, her selflessness will always remain with us.
Yeah, there's women with such courage, such courage. It's incredible, and they stayed there. How can I say? She never let up, and I think
Yeah,
that's the big thing. And I think if you were to give advice to women today, given the fact that we have so many opportunities and we have the freedom, which, as you say, was something that not everybody had at some point in time, what would you say is the one bit of advice you would give women today to really work towards and to realize that everything is possible in life? What is the one main ingredient in a woman that a woman should want to pursue?
Look, I think having looked at how the road or the journey we traveled as women, I mean, from underrepresentation to a 50-50 kind of representation, especially from the party where I come from, but also in ensuring that women get represented and get opportunities, even in strategic position. It's something that we should not take light. But it also says, as women, we should always support each other. Because once you put a woman there and you don't become the support system, you're setting her for failure. So one, let's not take the achievements that women fought for and up until now for granted. It did not come on a silver platter. That's one. Do your bit also to capacitate yourself to understand the environment you're working on so that you become a better person and a better manager. But there's a saying that Charlotte McClake likes to say, pull other women as you rise. So make sure that they become part of you, because if you are about to fall, they'll be there to cushion you. So it's important for us to do that and seize the moment, because the future of women is very bright. I mean, I'm looking forward, Charlotte, Isabel, Alicia, Jamila, and everybody, where not so long there will be a woman president. And
Yes.
that woman will also want all of us to support. So it's something that we must work on, but we should not set our women for failure. So support systems will be very, very crucial.
So on that note, my last question is specifically asking you the question, if you were president, what would you want to see changing in this country?
I'm waiting.
And would you be president? Would you ever stand for presidency?
I'm waiting for a woman president to come in so that I can tell her that, Charlotte, I'm waiting for somebody that I will elect to become a woman president, and I'll ask her exactly that question and say, now what are you going to do for us as women? Because we are putting you up there and supporting you. What changes are you bringing for all of us?
So you're asking another woman that question, so you're not answering it.
Yeah.
So Pinky, it's been absolutely wonderful having you, with us this afternoon. And obviously the contribution that you've made with regards to the book. Do you believe that every woman should have a copy of this book in her hands? Because we've got 15 women who contributed to the writing of the book in terms of their chapters, but then we also have the creative team that were part of the creation of this book. Would you say that every woman must make sure that she has one in her hands? And what can we do to encourage women to really become part of a project like this? Because I guess at the end of the day, part of it is to give these women a place where they can tell their story.
Mm. I think this project, what you have done, Charlotte. I mean, most of us even had to move out of our closets and come out and share with women our own experiences. So it will inspire many women to say, look, many women go through some of these things. Of course, there are hardships around this thing, but there are lessons learned, and you can be inspired to look at life differently. Having learned the experiences of many of those women, 15 women who have shared their experiences and how they were able to pull through and become better. So I think it's a book that everybody must have. It will inspire them to also come out and start to share their stories, because most of the women's stories are not told. Good stories, and also those stories that have challenges around them. Yeah, we need to have a platform where we can start to share those.
So before we close, I'd like to just read some of the comments that are in the chat box here, because there might be some questions that somebody may want to ask and you may want to answer. So Shireen Hunter says, I thoroughly enjoy your authenticity, Pinky. That's coming from Shireen. From Isabel, what an amazing interview, such a nurturing and caring soul. Wow, so profound. Thank you for being such an awesome role model. I salute you, Pinky. And then while you were talking about Winnie Mandela, Shireen also said, I have to agree. What Winnie Mandela went through, we will never know. Such courage. And then we've got Retabile. Thank you, me, Pinky. You just brought tears to my eyes. Great interview.
That's nice.
And then Shehofatsu, what an inspiring interview. You're a phenomenal woman. Thank you for sharing your journey.
Sure.
And then you were talking about a woman president. Rita Govender said, yes, 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 a woman president. And then Shireen says that she will vote for you if you stand for presidency. Oh yeah.
Thank you.
And then Shireen says she would love to ask the minister something. So let us give Shireen the opportunity to unmute and come online with us. And if there's anybody else who wants to ask a question, ladies, you're very welcome to.
Hi, Pinky. So exciting to actually connect with you. First, I just want to commend you and say, you know, how wonderful it is that you as a minister are so accessible to the women. I have to commend you on that, because I think we really do need more of that. But what I want to ask you is, please, can you bring our women ministers together in unity, to stand together and send out a message of solidarity to the women in this nation? Because I really do think as women, we need to see the women in government coming together and standing together and supporting each other. We are so thirsty for that unity and leadership at a government level, and we need the women in government to really come together and speak with one voice. And you know, I just think it's an important, I'm also in the communication space. I think we would be doing our government and the women in this nation such a favor if we could just start sending images of the ministers working together, the women ministers supporting each other. Please, Pinky, we need to see that.
It's so profound what you're saying, Sharon, and it's important for us as women to learn to work together, because once we do that, I mean, we know the future it's female, and the future it's us. So for as long as we don't support each other, we will really miss on many other opportunities. I think it is important for us to start to do that. Have
Absolutely.
engagement of this nature. You know, a very nice experience, Charlotte, that I had when I came together with the wives of rugby players and their girlfriends just before the tournament started. How they came together to support each other while the husbands have gone for the Rugby World Cup. And that put them together until we became victorious as South Africa. So we've got more to win and more to build when we are united.
Absolutely. It would just be so nice to see our women at a state leadership level sending out the right images and the right messages. And I can put it to you today in the communication space.
Yeah.
Please, Pinky.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Thanks.
does anybody else have any questions that they'd like to ask? Anybody want to come forward? This is an opportunity. We don't always have this opportunity, ladies. Is there anybody else who'd like to put up their hand to ask a question? Okay, let's see. Okay. Well, Pinky, all that's left to say from me to you is thank you so much for affording us your very, very valuable time. So appreciated. You've made some comments throughout the morning where you, or the interview where you're saying, Charlotte, we must, Charlotte, we must. So please tell me, what time can I be at your office? And that we must. That's really the bottom line here, because, you know, they say one must stop talking and one must start doing. So Shireen and I are there. Just tell us what time.
Okay. No, we'll do that. I will liaise with Yavi. I want us to take up this issue of food security very seriously. And I think it's something that is top on the agenda, and I think we can run with it as quickly as possible. So, yeah, and it will be a game changer for our own communities out there. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, ladies, thank you all for joining us today with the interview for Forgotten Woman, the South African story, and with our chapter contributor, the beautiful Pinky Kekana. And Pinky, from us to you, just thank you so much for everything that you are doing, for the impact you are making. And I know that it's not an easy job that you have. I can't imagine how much pressure there must be on anybody that is representing their country in the capacity that you are. So from me to you, and I'm sure everybody will agree with me, is we salute you, Pinky, and we honor you. And in this season that we are in, the season when I spoke about chaos and you wanted to know which chaos, and you took it, and I love it. You take it in your stride. You always got this beautiful smile on your face, and you always look as if you are in full control of what's going on. So I want to obviously take a leaf out of your book, but I want to thank you so much, and I'll give you the opportunity for the parting words.
Yeah, thank you very much, Charlotte. You know, my first encounter with you and the ladies and gentlemen in that evening was something that blew my whole mind. I mean, I got goosebumps on the caliber of people and the
I'm not sure if it's my signal or if it's her signal, ladies. Shireen, are you still with me?
Should always appreciate, because we'll not be everywhere, but if there are people who are able to change lives and touch lives like you and your team, women of stature, I really appreciate the kind of work that you do, and you keep on holding the light to shine. And thanks to all of you. Well done, guys. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much, Pinky. We applaud you, and thank you to everybody that tuned in with us today. And as I say, you know, upward, step up. We're talking about stepping up and rising up. And this coming weekend, the 14th and the 15th, we've actually got our Women Rise Virtual Summit. We invite everybody to come and join us. Bookings on Quicket. And we've got an incredible lineup of wonderful women from various sectors of the South African business and community. And Pinky, you are very welcome to join us. It starts at 12 o'clock on Friday afternoon through to 5, and then again on Saturday from 12 to 5. And we have an incredible lineup. And we really just want to bring women together to rise up together. And as you quite rightly say, is to support one another. And I think there's no better way to do it than to bring us all together, even though it's on a virtual space that we're doing it this year. But the general consensus is that we still all feel a little bit nervous with having face-to-face contact. So that's why we've opened this up as a space for us to all stand together and stand united. And as Shireen said, if we can, as women of stature, stand behind our women in government, we would like to do that with you. In fact, are already initiating a campaign, which is part of the I Am Tourism, because we know that so many women are affected by the closure of so many of the tourism industry. And we are actually launching it, Shireen, myself, and Natalia Rosa, who's actually it's her brainchild, the I Am Tourism, and we're banding together to support our Minister in Tourism, Pinky, because that's exactly where we as an organization want to be standing alongside our state's representative, so that we are showing our solidarity with you as well.
Okay.
So thank you, everybody. Thank you all, and bless you all, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Yes, cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.